Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair, watching the stars through the main screen of the U.E.S. horizon. The ship was moving slowly through space, scanning rocks and empty areas for anything interesting. It was a quiet job, but Jake liked it that way. His crew was small, but good at their work. Dr. Lisa Grant looked up from her science station. Her dark hair was tied back, and she had been working for 3 hours straight. She was the best scientist Jake had ever worked with. She could look at alien rocks and tell you things that would surprise you. "Captain, I'm seeing something strange," Lisa said. Her voice was calm, but Jake could hear worry in it. "There's a big metal object hiding behind that asteroid group." Lieutenant Commander Ryan Walsh turned from his station. He was the ship's military officer, even though the Horizon was not a warship. Ryan was tall and serious, with gray eyes that missed nothing. "How big are we talking about?" he asked. Lisa checked her screens again. "Much bigger than us. Maybe 10 times bigger. It's not moving, but I can see power readings from it." Jake stood up and walked to Lisa's station. The screen showed a huge shape hiding in the shadows of the asteroids. It was dark and had sharp edges, like someone had built it for fighting. Jake had never seen anything like it. "Is it human?" Jake asked, though he already knew the answer. "No, sir," Lisa said. "The metal is different from anything we use. The shape is wrong, too. This is alien." Ryan moved to his weapons station, even though the Horizon only had small guns for protection. "Should I power up our defenses?" he asked. Jake thought for a moment. This was the first time humans had found aliens. It was exciting and scary at the same time. "Not yet. Let's try to talk to them first. Maybe they're friendly." But before Jake could do anything, the alien ship started moving. It came out from behind the asteroids like a giant metal fish. The ship was black and covered with weapons. It had strange lights that glowed red and blue. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. "Captain, they're scanning us," Ryan said. His hands were ready to fight, but he waited for orders. "Open a channel," Jake said. "All frequencies. Let's see if they want to talk." Lisa worked at her station, sending radio signals in every way she could think of. "Channel open, sir." Jake cleared his throat. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earthship U's Horizon. We come in peace. We are explorers, not fighters. Please respond." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the main screen changed. A face appeared that made everyone on the bridge stop breathing. The alien looked like a mix between a wolf and a lizard. Its skin was gray and covered with small scales. Its eyes were yellow and had no warmth in them. When it opened its mouth, Jake could see sharp teeth that were meant for tearing meat. "I am War Admiral Krickstall of the Zephyrian Empire," the alien said. Its voice was deep and cold. "You will surrender your ship now. Any resistance will be met with destruction." Jake stepped forward. "We don't want to fight. We're just scientists studying rocks and space dust. We have no weapons that could hurt you." The alien's mouth opened in what might have been a smile, but it looked more like a threat. "All species say this when they first meet us. It does not matter. You will come with us for questioning. Your ship belongs to the Empire now." "We're not from any empire," Jake said, trying to stay calm. "We're from Earth. We've never heard of your people before today." War Admiral Krickstall's yellow eyes got brighter. "Earth? Another new world to add to our collection. You should feel honored. The Empire has conquered 47 worlds. Earth will be number 48. Ryan whispered to Jake, "Sir, we should run. Our engines are faster than most ships." But Jake shook his head. If they ran, the aliens might follow them back to Earth. Jake couldn't let that happen. There were billions of people on Earth who didn't even know aliens existed. "We surrender," Jake said. "But I ask that you treat my crew well. They're good people who have done nothing wrong." The alien laughed, and the sound made everyone on the bridge feel cold. "Your crew will be studied. Some may survive if they prove useful. You will be questioned about your world's defenses and weaknesses." The alien ship moved closer to the horizon. Jake could see huge metal arms coming out of its sides. The arms grabbed the human ship like a giant hand picking up a toy. The horizon shook as the alien ship pulled it inside a large opening. "Lisa, send a message to Earth," Jake said quietly. "Tell them we found aliens. Tell them to be ready." Lisa's fingers moved fast over her controls. "Message sent, sir." The lights went out as the alien ship cut power to the horizon. Emergency lights came on, making everything look red and scary. Jake could hear his crew breathing hard in the darkness. "Remember," Jake said to his people, "we're explorers. We knew there might be dangers out here. Whatever happens, we stick together." The sound of metal cutting metal filled the air. The aliens were breaking into their ship. Ryan stood up and moved toward the door, but Jake put a hand on his shoulder. "No fighting," Jake said. "We save our strength for when it matters." The door exploded inward, and alien soldiers came through. They were bigger than the war admiral, with thick arms and legs. They wore black armor and carried weapons that hummed with energy. Their eyes glowed in the dark like animal eyes. The leader of the soldiers pointed at Jake. "You are the captain. You come with us." Jake nodded and stepped forward. "What about my crew?" "The scientist and the warrior come too," the alien said, looking at Lisa and Ryan. "The others stay in cages until we decide what to do with them." Jake looked at his crew one more time. Some of them looked scared, but they all looked back at him with trust. They believed he would find a way to protect them. "Take care of each other," Jake said to his crew. Then he walked toward the aliens. The alien soldiers put metal bands around Jake's wrists. The bands were cold and heavy. They did the same to Lisa and Ryan. Then they pushed the three humans toward the hole in their ship dot as they walked through dark alien hallways. Jake thought about Earth. He thought about his sister who lived in Ohio, and his old teacher who had made him want to explore space. He thought about all the people who would never know what happened to the horizon dot. The aliens didn't know it yet, but they had just made the biggest mistake of their lives. They thought humans were just another weak species to be conquered. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The hallway led to a bright room where more aliens waited. Jake saw machines that looked like they were made for causing pain. He saw screens and computers that would probably try to read his mind. But Jake wasn't afraid. He was angry. These aliens wanted to hurt his crew and attack his world. They thought humans would be easy to break. They were about to find out that humans were different from any species they had ever met. The alien ship called Conquest's Edge was bigger than any building Jake had ever seen. The hallways were dark and cold, with strange symbols on the walls that glowed like fire. The three humans were pushed through these halls by alien guards, who never spoke. Jake looked around as they walked. The ship was built for war. Every wall had weapon ports, and every room they passed had soldiers inside. The aliens were not peaceful explorers like humans. They were killers who took what they wanted. The guards stopped at 3 different doors. They pushed Jake into the first room, Lisa into the second, and Ryan into the third. Jake heard the doors lock behind them with a sound like breaking bones. Jake's cell was small and empty. The walls were smooth metal with no windows. There was a hard bench to sit on and nothing else. A dim light came from the ceiling, but it was not bright enough to see clearly. The air smelled like chemicals, and Fear. Jake sat on the bench and waited. He knew the aliens would come soon to ask him questions. He had to be ready. He thought about his crew back on the horizon and hoped they were safe. He thought about Earth and all the people there who trusted him to protect them. After what felt like hours, the door opened. An alien walked in that was different from the guards. This one was taller and thinner, with longer arms and pale skin. Its eyes were bigger and smarter looking. It wore a dark robe instead of armor. "I am Interrogator Vexner," the alien said. Its voice was quieter than the War Admiral's, but somehow more scary. "I am here to learn about your species and your world." Jake stood up. "My name is Captain Jake Morrison. I want to know if my crew is safe." Vexner's mouth opened in that cold smile Jake had seen before. "Your crew's safety depends on how well you cooperate. The Empire has ways of making creatures talk. Some are pleasant, others are not." The alien moved to a wall panel and pressed buttons. The wall opened up to show machines that Jake had never seen before. Some had wires and needles. Others had screens and lights that hurt to look at. One looked like a chair with straps and metal pieces that would go on someone's head. "These tools have broken the will of every species we have conquered," Vexner said. "Dragons from Kelthar lasted 6 hours. The crystal beings from Nexus Prime lasted 4 hours. Most species break in 2 hours or less." Jake looked at the machines without showing fear. "What do you want to know? Tell me about Earth's defenses. How many ships does your military have? What weapons do you use? Where are your important cities?" Jake shook his head. "The ship you captured is not a military vessel. We're scientists. I don't know about Earth's defenses because I'm not a soldier." Vexner's eyes got brighter. "You lie. All species have military leaders. You must know something." "I'm telling the truth," Jake said. "On Earth, scientists and soldiers are different people. We explore space to learn, not to fight." The alien looked confused for a moment, then it pressed more buttons. A needle came out of the wall on a metal arm. "This will make you tell the truth," Vexner said. The needle went into Jake's arm. Jake felt something cold go into his blood. His head started to feel strange, like he was floating, but his mind stayed clear. He could think just as well as before. "Now," Vexner said, "tell me about Earth's weapons." "We have weapons," Jake said honestly, "but most of our ships are not built for war. The Horizon has only small guns for protection from space rocks." Vexner frowned. The drug should have made Jake tell all of Earth's secrets. But Jake was only saying what he had said. "Before, you resist the truth serum," Vexner said. "Interesting. Most species cannot do this." In the next room, Lisa was facing her own interrogator. This alien was shorter and had more machines around it. Lisa's cell was full of computers and screens that showed her brain activity. "You are a scientist," the alien said. "Tell me about human technology. How do you travel between stars? What energy sources do you use?" Lisa looked at the screens, showing her thoughts. She was scared, but she was also curious. These aliens had technology that humans could only dream about. Even while being held prisoner, she wanted to learn how it worked. "Our star travel is slower than yours," Lisa said. "We use fusion engines and jump gates. It takes us months to go where you probably go in days." The alien interrogator seemed pleased. "Good, you are honest. This will make things easier. Now tell me about human biology. How long do humans live? How do you reproduce? What are your weaknesses?" Lisa answered the questions truthfully. She told the alien about human lifespans and how human bodies worked. She explained how humans had children and how they grew up, but she also asked questions back. "How do your people live?" Lisa asked. "Your technology is amazing. Do you use it to help your people, or just to conquer others?" The alien looked surprised. No prisoner had ever asked it questions before. We use technology to become stronger. The strong rule the weak. This is the natural order. But don't you explore just to learn? Lisa asked. Don't you want to understand? The universe? The alien paused. Understanding is only useful if it leads to power. Your people waste time on useless knowledge. In the third room, Ryan faced the biggest alien yet. This one had scars all over its body and weapons attached to its arms. It looked like it had been in many battles. You are a warrior, the alien said. Finally, one of your species that makes sense. Tell me about human military tactics. How do you fight? What are your strategies? Ryan sat straight and looked the alien in the eyes. I won't tell you anything that could be used to hurt innocent people. The alien laughed. You will tell me everything. Pain is a universal language. All species understand it. The alien pressed a button, and electricity shot through Ryan's chair. Ryan's body shook with pain, but he didn't scream. He gritted his teeth and waited for it to stop. Impressive, the alien said. You lasted longer than most. But this is only the beginning. The torture continued for hours. Electric shocks, burning heat, freezing cold. The alien used every method it knew, but Ryan never broke. He never told them anything about Earth's defenses or human military secrets. What confused the alien most was that Ryan never begged. Most creatures would cry and plead for mercy, but Ryan just endured the pain and stayed quiet. Sometimes he even looked sorry for the alien, like he felt bad that it had to do such terrible things. Back in Jake's cell, Vexner was getting frustrated. The truth drugs didn't work. Threats didn't work. Jake answered questions honestly when they were harmless, but refused to say anything that could hurt Earth or his crew. You are different from other species, Vexner said. They break quickly. They tell us everything to stop the pain, but you seem to get stronger when we hurt you. Jake looked at the alien calmly. Maybe that's because we have something worth protecting. My crew, my world, my people. Some things are more important than avoiding pain. Vexner stared at Jake for a long time. You would die to protect others? Even people you have never met? Yes, Jake said simply. That's what humans do. The alien left the room looking troubled. It had interrogated hundreds of species, but never one like this. The humans were not acting like prisoners. They were acting like they had already won Dot in her cell. Lisa continued to ask questions about alien society. She wanted to understand how the Zephyrians thought. What she learned worried her. These aliens saw everything as a contest between the strong and the weak. They couldn't understand why anyone would help others without getting something back. Ryan endured more torture, but never gave up any information. The alien torturing him was getting tired. It had used every method it knew, but the human wouldn't break. Worse, Ryan kept looking at the alien like he felt sorry for it, as the hours passed. Reports came to War Admiral Krickstall about the interrogations. None of the humans were breaking. The drugs didn't work. The torture didn't work. The threats didn't work. For the first time in his career, Krickstall began to wonder if the Empire had made a mistake. These humans were different from anything they had ever encountered. They seemed to become more dangerous when cornered, not less. The interrogation was not going as planned. The aliens were learning about humans, but what they learned was starting to scare them. 3 days had passed since the interrogations began. Vexner stood in front of a large screen showing brain scans of the 3 humans. The patterns made no sense. Where other species showed fear and breaking points, the humans showed something else entirely. Bring the neural probe, Vexner told his assistant. We will look directly into their memories. No creature can hide the truth from the deep scan. The neural probe was the Empire's most powerful tool. It could read memories, thoughts, and feelings directly from a prisoner's mind. It had never failed to break a species completely. Most creatures went insane from having their minds invaded. Vexner decided to start with Dr. Lisa Grant. She seemed the most talkative of the three humans. Maybe her mind would be easier to read. Lisa was brought to a new room filled with machines that hummed with energy. In the center was a chair surrounded by metal arms with wires and needles. Above it hung a device that looked like a metal crown with glowing crystals. "This will let us see your memories," Vexner said as guards strapped Lisa into the chair. "We will learn everything about your species and your world." Lisa looked at the machine with interest instead of fear. "How does it work?" "Does it read electrical signals from the brain?" Vexner paused. Most prisoners begged for mercy at this point. Lisa was asking about the technology. "It reads neural patterns and converts them to images. You will experience your memories as we watch them." The crown was placed on Lisa's head. Immediately, the screens around the room lit up with images from her mind. Vexner expected to see human military secrets or the location of Earth's defenses. Instead, he saw something that confused him completely. The first memory was of Lisa as a child, maybe 8 years old. She was in a place called a hospital, visiting sick children. Lisa was reading stories to kids who were too weak to get out of bed. She wasn't getting paid for this. She wasn't being forced to do it. She was doing it because she wanted to help. "Why? Does the young human care for strangers?" Vexner asked. "Because they needed help," Lisa said through the neural link. "When people are hurt, you help them. That's what humans do." The next memory showed Lisa in school, studying late at night. But she wasn't studying for herself. She was teaching other students who were having trouble with their lessons. Again, she got nothing for this except the happiness of seeing others succeed. Vexner saw memory after memory of Lisa helping others. She gave food to hungry people. She worked for free at animal shelters. She spent her own money to buy supplies for poor schools. In every memory, she was giving something of herself to help others. But the most disturbing memories came from Earth's history. Through Lisa's knowledge, Vexner saw things that made no sense to his alien mind. He saw humans running into burning buildings to save strangers. He saw people jumping into dangerous water to rescue others. He saw doctors working for days without sleep to save patients they had never met before. Then he saw the wars. Vexner expected to see human military tactics and weapons. Instead, he saw something that chilled him to his core. He saw soldiers throwing themselves on explosives to protect their friends. He saw medics running into battle with no weapons except medical supplies. He saw humans choosing to die rather than let their enemies hurt innocent people. "This makes no sense," Vexner said. "Why do they choose death over survival?" Through the link, Lisa felt his confusion. Because some things are more important than staying alive. Our families, our friends, our beliefs. We protect what matters, even if it costs us everything. Vexner saw more memories. Humans during natural disasters. Sharing their last food with neighbors. Parents working multiple jobs to give their children better lives. Scientists like Lisa spending years studying diseases to help people they would never meet. The alien interrogator removed the neural crown with shaking hands. What he had seen went against everything the Empire believed. In Zephyrian society, individuals looked out for themselves first. Helping others was done only if you got something back, but humans seemed to have a different nature entirely. They appeared to be stronger when they were protecting others than when they were protecting themselves. Vexner decided to try the neural probe on Captain Jake Morrison next. Maybe the military leader would show more normal thought patterns. Jake was brought to the chair and connected to the machine. His memories began playing on the screens immediately. Vexner saw Jake as a young man, choosing to become a space explorer, not for glory or money, but because he wanted to find new things that could help humanity. He saw Jake's training, where he learned that a captain's first duty was to protect his crew, even at the cost of his own life. The most shocking memory showed Jake on a previous mission. His ship had been damaged in an asteroid field. There was only enough power to save either the engine room or the crew quarters. Jake had chosen to save his crew, even though it meant he might die when the engine failed. The ship had survived, but only because Jake had been willing to sacrifice himself for others. "You chose possible death over certain survival," Vexener said. "This is madness." Through the neural link, Jake's thoughts were clear. A leader who won't die for his people isn't worth following. My crew trusted me to protect them. That's more important than my own life. Vexener saw more memories that made no sense. Jake turning down promotions because he didn't want to leave his crew. Jake using his own money to buy better equipment for his ship. Jake staying awake for days during dangerous missions to make. Sure, everyone was safe, but the worst memory was Jake's decision to surrender to the Zephyrians. Vexener saw Jake's thoughts during that moment. Jake knew he would probably be tortured and killed, but he also knew that fighting would put his crew in danger and might lead the aliens to Earth. So Jake had chosen capture and torture to protect others. He had walked into certain pain to keep others safe. Vexener disconnected from Jake's mind, feeling sick. These humans were not acting like any life form he had ever encountered. They seemed to get their strength from protecting others, not from protecting themselves. The final test was Ryan Walsh. Surely the military officer would show normal survival instincts. Ryan's memories were the most disturbing of all. Vexener saw years of training where humans learned to put others before themselves. He saw soldiers running into enemy fire to save wounded friends. He saw military officers making plans that they knew would cost their own lives, but save others. Most shocking was Ryan's memory of joining the military. He hadn't joined for power or glory. He had joined because he wanted to protect people who couldn't protect themselves. Through Ryan's memories, Vexener saw human history from a military perspective. He saw armies that fought not for conquest, but to protect their homes. He saw soldiers who chose death over surrender, when surrender meant their families would be hurt. He saw the concept that humans called acceptable losses. But it wasn't about losing others. It was about being willing to lose yourself if it meant others would live. When Vexener disconnected from Ryan's mind, he was shaking. He had just seen the memories of 3 humans, and they all showed the same impossible thing. These creatures actually became more dangerous when they had something to protect. Vexener rushed to find War Admiral Crickstall. He found the commander studying reports from the interrogations of other species. "Admiral," Vexener said, "we have a problem. These humans are not like other species. They do not fear death the way others do." Crickstall looked up. "Explain." "They see death as acceptable if it protects others. They become stronger when cornered, not weaker. They cannot be broken, because breaking them only makes them more determined." Crickstall's yellow eyes narrowed. "That is impossible. All creatures value their own survival above all else." "Not these creatures," Vexener said. "I have seen their memories. They value others more than themselves. They will die for strangers. They will suffer for people they have never met." For the first time in his career, War Admiral Crickstall felt something he had never experienced before. He felt afraid. If humans truly did not fear death, then they could not be conquered in the normal way. You could not threaten someone who was willing to die. You could not break someone who became stronger under pressure. Crickstall realized that the Empire might have just encountered its first unbeatable enemy. War Admiral Crickstall paced in his command room, his claws clicking on the metal floor. The reports from the interrogations sat on his desk, but he could barely believe what they said. 3 days of torture and mind reading had produced something the Empire had never seen before. The humans were not breaking. They were getting stronger. "Bring me Interrogator Vexner," Crystal ordered, "and prepare the final protocol." The final protocol was something the Empire had never used before. It was a two-way neural link that would connect an interrogator's mind directly to a prisoner's mind. Both would experience each other's memories and thoughts at the same time. It was considered too dangerous because it could drive both creatures insane. But Crystal was desperate. The Empire had to understand these humans before they became a threat to the entire galaxy. Vexner arrived looking tired and scared. "Admiral, I do not recommend using the final protocol. These humans think in ways that could damage our minds." "We have no choice," Crystal said. "The Empire must know what we are facing. Connect with the human captain. Learn everything." Vexner nodded slowly. He knew arguing would be useless. "If the link destroys my mind, remember what I have told you. These humans are not like other species. They may be more dangerous than anything we have ever encountered." Jake Morrison was brought to a new room filled with the most advanced machines on the ship. The two-way neural link device looked like two chairs connected by a web of wires and crystals. Vexner sat in one chair, while guards strapped Jake into the other. "This will connect our minds completely," Vexner explained. "I will see your thoughts and memories. You will see mine. Most creatures die from the experience." Jake looked at the alien with calm eyes. "Will this hurt my crew?" "Your crew will not be harmed by this procedure," Vexner said. "Then let's get it over with." Jake said. The machine activated with a sound like thunder. Immediately, both minds crashed into each other like two storms meeting in the sky. Vexner's consciousness was flooded with Jake's memories. But these were not just images. He felt Jake's emotions, his thoughts, his very soul. And what he felt made him scream. Wiesner experienced Jake's love for his crew. Not just liking them or respecting them, but actual love. Jake cared about these people more than he cared about himself. He would die for any of them without hesitation. Then Vexner felt Jake's love for Earth. Not just because it was his home, but because it was home to billions of people he had never met. Jake felt responsible for protecting all of them, even though he was just one person. But the worst part was feeling Jake's acceptance of death. Jake was not afraid to die. He had made peace with the idea that he might not survive this mission. He saw death as an acceptable price to pay for protecting others. This concept was so alien to Vexner that it felt like poison in his mind. In Zephyrian society, death was the ultimate failure. Survival was the only thing that mattered. But Jake saw death as just another tool to protect what he loved. At the same time, Jake was experiencing Vexner's memories. He saw the alien's childhood, where young Zephyrians were taught that the strong ruled the weak. He saw Vexner's training, where compassion was seen as weakness and selfishness was seen as strength. Jake felt Vexner's fear of death, his need to survive at any cost. He felt the alien's confusion when facing creatures that would not break under torture. And Jake felt something that surprised him. He felt pity for Vexner. Through the link, Jake's thoughts were clear to the alien. "You're not evil. You're just afraid. Your whole species is afraid." "Afraid of what?" Vexner asked through the mental connection. "Afraid of caring about others. Afraid of being hurt. Afraid of losing something important. You think being alone makes you strong, but it makes you weak." Vexner felt Jake's memories of losing people he loved. Jake's parents had died in an accident when he was young. Jake had lost friends in space missions. He had experienced more emotional pain than most Zephyrians could imagine. But instead of making Jake cold and selfish, the pain had made him more caring. He protected others because he knew how much it hurt to lose someone. He was willing to suffer so others wouldn't have to. "You choose pain," Vexner said in wonder. "You accept suffering to prevent others from suffering. That's what makes us human, Jake replied. We don't run from pain. We use it to make us stronger. Through the link, Vexner experienced Jake's decision to surrender to the Zephyrians. He felt Jake's calm acceptance that he would probably be tortured and killed. But he also felt Jake's hope that his sacrifice might prevent a war between their species. Jake was not just willing to die for his crew. He was willing to die for the aliens who were torturing him if it meant peace between their peoples. The mental link was too much for Vexner. He had never experienced such selfless love, such willingness to sacrifice. His mind could not handle concepts so foreign to his nature. He began to scream and tear at the neural connections. "Disconnect! Disconnect!" Vexner shouted. I cannot understand this." The guards rushed to separate the two minds. When the link was broken, Vexner collapsed on the floor, shaking. Jake sat calmly in his chair, looking at the alien with gentle eyes. "I'm sorry," Jake said. "I didn't mean to hurt you." Even after being tortured for days, Jake felt sorry for his torturer. This final act of compassion broke something in Vexner's mind. He curled up on the floor, weeping. Word of what happened spread quickly through the ship. The Empire's best interrogator had been broken by a human's kindness. The prisoners were not just refusing to break. They were actually damaging their captors' minds with their alien way of thinking. War Admiral Krickstow received the report with growing horror. The neural link had revealed the truth about humans. They were not just another species to be conquered. They were something the Empire had never encountered before. Humans got their strength from caring about others. They became more dangerous when they had something to protect. They were willing to die for strangers, for ideals, for abstract concepts like freedom and love. Most terrifying of all, they could not be broken because breaking them only made them stronger. Krickstow called an emergency meeting with his senior officers. "We must make a decision about these humans," he said. "We cannot break them. We cannot understand them. And they may be more dangerous than any enemy we have ever faced. How can 3 prisoners be dangerous?" Asked his second-in-command. "Because they are not afraid to die," Krickstow replied. "And creatures that do not fear death cannot be defeated by fear. If their species is like them, then Earth cannot be conquered by normal means." The officers looked at each other nervously. They had conquered 47 worlds using fear and superior technology. But how do you conquer a species that sees death? As an acceptable outcome? "What do you recommend, Admiral?" asked the weapons officer. Krickstow was quiet for a long moment. Then he made a decision that would be remembered in Empire history forever. "We release them," he said. "We return them to their ship and let them go." The officers stared at him in shock. "Admiral, the Empire does not release prisoners. We have never shown mercy to any species." "This is not mercy," Krickstow said quietly. "This is fear. These humans have shown us something we cannot defeat. They have shown us that there are creatures in the universe that become stronger when threatened. But Admiral, what if they warn their species about us?" Krickstow's yellow eyes were dim with exhaustion. "Then perhaps their species will choose to leave us alone. Because if they are all like these 3, then we do not want to fight them." An hour later, Jake, Lisa, and Ryan were brought back to their ship. The Zephyrians had repaired the damage and refueled the Horizon. The 3 humans were confused by their sudden release. "Why are you letting us go?" Jake asked War Admiral Krickstow. The alien commander looked at Jake with what might have been respect. "Because you have taught us something we did not want to learn. You have shown us that there are things in the universe more frightening than death." "What's more frightening than death?" Jake asked. "Creatures that do not fear it," Krickstow replied. As the Horizon pulled away from the alien ship, Jake stood on the bridge with his crew. They were all safe, but they were also changed by what had happened. "Captain," Lisa said, "I don't think they let us go because they were being kind." Jake nodded. They let us go because they were afraid. They realized that humans are not like other species they've conquered. Ryan looked at the alien ship growing smaller in the distance. Do you think they'll come to Earth? Jake thought for a moment. I think they'll do everything they can to avoid Earth. We've shown them something they can't understand or defeat. The Horizon turned toward home, carrying 3 humans who had won a war without firing a shot. They had defeated an empire not through strength, but through the demonstration of something the aliens could not comprehend. The willingness to sacrifice everything for others. The strength that comes from love instead of fear. The power of creatures who care more about protecting others than protecting themselves. The Zephyrian Empire had learned that humans were not just another species to be conquered. They were something far more dangerous, Dot. They were something that could not be broken.